just non-stop chatter on the radios as we've been trying to make our way out here. Now, this vehicle originally is taken out of the Monterey Park area. Now, Monterey Park has their own police department. They were the original ones in pursuit. Let's get to where we are right now. We'll bounce back and forth between the information. Right now, we're basically Sierra Madre. This is going to be westbound 210. The shot that we had, that long shot, was actually the 605 transition. They were transitioning from the 605 onto the westbound 210. That white Lexus, that's the vehicle they're pursuing. Now, part of the crazy information that we've been listening to all afternoon is, well, Monterey Park and California Highway Patrol both in pursuit, and that's one of those ones where agencies, they have protocol and they have to give it up, and are they going to stay and are they not? But right now we understand California Highway Patrol took it over from Monterey Park. That vehicle apparently belongs to an officer of the law. We're not sure if it's a deputy or a police officer, but it's an off-duty officer that we do know right now. This is his vehicle, and there is a loaded weapon inside that vehicle. That's what we're hearing. Now, does the person that stole that car know that that weapon is in there? We don't have that information, and neither does the law enforcement behind him right now, which is going to make this for a very interesting chase indeed. Now, that Lexus moving along, pretty good clip out here. We're saying about 75 miles an hour. We're continuing westbound on the 210 freeway. Going to be coming out of the Sierra Madre area in just a minute or two. We're going to basically park Sky 9 and have them drive underneath us. But basically, we are going to be westbound right now, 70, 75 miles an hour. Stolen vehicle, possible weapon inside because it's a law enforcement officer's vehicle. And right now, we're just going to be entering the Pasadena area.
All right, Stu Medell, you've been listening to this live police pursuit. That white Lexus right there in the middle of your screen, moving into the #1 lane, and it looks like, Stu, he's picking up some speed.
He's been moving pretty quick out here. They see when there's traffic, obviously he has to slow that thing down a little bit. But that car, pretty quick. It's a zippy little car, that is for sure. And he's been taking advantage of it. Now we're throwing out that we are assuming that it's a male driver. We do know it's a stolen vehicle, but we really don't have any information on the actual gender, and we don't really know exactly how many folks are inside that car. We're hearing law enforcement talking back and forth, trying to get a number. We've even been asked ourselves, do we see how many folks we see in there? Right now, those windows really tinted, unable to see what's going on inside that car. Moving along though, 210 freeway. It's amazing how when there's a chase, there's like almost no traffic out here. There was a bunch of traffic at the intersection though. The 605, right where the 210 was, there was a lot of traffic there. They did slow it down for a little bit, but when he picked that westbound 210, now he's really kind of just opening it up. We're not tracking yet, so I can't get you an exact number. I am listening, though. If they do shout it out, we will hear it. Now, they are already talking about trying to put spike strips out there, trying to bring this pursuit to an end, but it's going to be very difficult, even though it's light traffic out here, Sandra. Doesn't mean that is no traffic. There are a lot of other vehicles out here on the roadway and a freeway. It'll be very difficult to get those spike strips out there in front of that vehicle. Now, California Highway Patrol did take this over from Monterey Park PD. That's where this thing started. It was on the 10 freeway eastbound, got on the 605, and then we picked it up right as it transitioned onto the 210. Now this car moving along out here, officers from California Highway Patrol right behind it. They have a helicopter above it. We believe it's going to be a sheriff's helicopter. I'm going to get that information from Pasadena PD's picking it up. And the sheriffs are over it. Timmy, my pilot today, giving me that information as we're talking. But you see that vehicle still moving along. Law enforcement right behind it, lights and sirens.
Yeah, Stu, not really making any erratic moves, but he is just driving very fast. It's kind of sticking to one lane.
Sticking to one lane, nothing too erratic, that's for sure. And, you know, we always say, what is this guy thinking? Why are they running? Well, basically they're running because they don't want to go into custody. They don't want to have to deal with the law enforcement. But where's he going? You know what? Nobody ever really knows. One thing I was kind of curious about was where the car was taken from. Sometimes they make their way back to those locations or those general neighborhoods. Right now, though, this car just kind of moving along out here. And that weapon, that's going to be the big thing out here, Sandra, because, you know, if he has access to that gun, it's going to be a real problem. And in just the fact that the weapon is confirmed inside the vehicle, he might not even know. That the person who stole the car might not even know that there's a weapon in there. But there apparently is a gun that's going to make this a very interesting and a very, very touchy ending when this comes to a stop. You can see the California Highway Patrol right behind it. Right now, I can tell you that we're pretty much tracking them. So we're going about 80 miles an hour this afternoon, 210 freeway westbound, well established in the Pasadena area. And you can see the car passing the other vehicles down there. But, you know, it's California. Sometimes 65 is basically just a suggested speed. So you can see a lot of other folks down there moving along pretty well as well. But California Highway Patrol right now, they have a very serious situation on their hands. That stolen vehicle, possible weapon inside. Car belongs to an off-duty law enforcement officer. So right now, it could be very tense at the end. Right now, it's just the chase.
Yeah, Stu, I can bet that he's probably not going to jump off the freeway and go the other direction. The eastbound 210 looks like the traffic's already backed up.
Eastbound 210 is really backed up, and I'm telling you, I'm looking out the window just kind of getting an idea of what's coming up. As we get into Pasadena proper, like up down by Old Town, it is going to be backed up. So this doesn't mean that they're going to have an opportunity to maybe pit them or block them in. We don't know how aggressive those law enforcement, the California Highway Patrol, are going to be to bring this thing to a stop, even in traffic, because when there's traffic, then all of a sudden there's a lot of civilians out there as well. That's going to be creating a different type of situation, a safety situation for the public at large, and that is one of the biggest concerns for law enforcement. You can see them slowing down a little bit. Not sure if that's the car or the traffic ahead, but the car now starting to come slowing down as we're making our way into Pasadena proper, and the traffic's starting to build. Just a little bit of traffic here, but it's going to get worse as we keep making our way westbound into downtown Pasadena.
Yeah, Stu, where are you exactly? Can you tell what off-ramp?
You know what? I haven't been listening, but I can look out the window and I can tell you that we are probably getting close to, and I'm stalling here, give me a second, right around the Fair Oaks area. Allen might be coming up here, and yeah, Allen will be the next major, the off-ramp, and then obviously Hill and Lake, but yeah, we're right about at Allen right now in westbound, and I can tell you, I can probably take the, I never want to get away from the car too much, but take a look at some of that traffic up ahead. It's almost stopped as we're making our way into the downtown Pasadena area. So this vehicle, even though right now moving along at a good clip or just keeping that distance, those California Highway Patrol are going to get a lot closer, I'm sure. Are they going to make a move to bring this thing to a stop with all these civilians around? I would say no, but I'm just kind of wondering what the situation is going to be. Maybe he's going to, the driver of that vehicle might get a little bit more aggressive, or perhaps we'll see.
All right, he jumped in the carpool lane, tried to get away using that, but you could see, is he going to try to squeeze past that car on the driver's side? It looked like he was maybe contemplating that as he inched over a little bit, Stu, but he's basically really been forced to slow down, even in the carpool lane.
That's right, and you know, the lights and sirens from the law enforcement vehicles behind them will kind of alert the public, and sometimes they'll do as they're supposed to. They'll kind of move over, creating this lane so that this chase basically will keep going, and that may be what's going on here this afternoon. You can see that the carpool lane, as my wife always says, this is not the super fast lane, it's the carpool lane. But you can see folks getting out of the way today as they hear those lights and sirens, and they're doing what they need to do. They hear the lights and sirens and they move off to the right. In this case, when they're moving off, that is actually allowing this pursuit to keep going. The traffic, though, going to build and build and build. By the time we get over to the 134, though, anybody that drives this area, they'll all know it. It actually starts to open up again, but it's going to be it'll get thick and then light, depending upon what freeway we take. Right now, though, he's taking advantage of the fact that those lights and sirens are actually clearing the path. Another highway patrol vehicle, basically they're doing a little bit of a swap out right there, and I can tell you that that's going to be Baldwin Park that was chasing them. Right now, it's going to be another division of the California Highway Patrol picking it up, and that's the reason why we're seeing that SUV dropping out and that Charger taking its place.
Yeah, Charger a little bit faster as well. All right, let's bring everybody up to date on exactly what we're watching here. Middle of your screen, you see that white four-door Lexus trying to get away from CHP officers. This is a pursuit of a stolen car. It was taken from the Monterey Park area, now headed westbound on the 210 freeway. He's been all over the place today from Monterey Park, now approaching downtown Pasadena from the 10 to the 605 to the west 210, going up to 80 miles per hour on the freeway. Here's the really dangerous part. We do believe this vehicle was stolen from an officer of the law. We're not sure, sheriff's deputy, police officer. But that person has given information to the CHP that there is a loaded gun inside the car. So that kind of changes everything when we're talking about not only the pursuit, but how this thing ends up. Stu Mandell's overhead in Sky 9 for us. And Stu, I am sure that CHP doesn't want this to end on a busy freeway, even though they want it to end.
Well, they want this thing to come to an end peacefully and without any kind of incident at all. I can guarantee you that is going to be the #1 priority for all of the California Highway Patrol and any of the law enforcement that get involved in any kind of pursuits. They want to make sure that everybody is safe, even the suspect, and that's something that sometimes we kind of lose track of, or we think that law enforcement is just, they're good guy, bad guy. Believe me, they are concerned also. It might not be #1 priority. Priority of the general public is health and safety is going to be #1, and then officers, but that suspect also is on their minds. They don't want to see anybody get hurt or killed, so they're going to want to bring this thing to an end peacefully. The fact that there's a loaded weapon inside that vehicle, that is what is really kind of changing it up. And the big question is, does this person even know that there's a loaded weapon inside that car? Or does he know that he stole this car from a law enforcement officer? All those questions might come out in the wash. Right now, though, we know for a fact that the person driving that car, a stolen vehicle, is running from law enforcement. We've been very lucky this afternoon. Speeds have been relatively high, better than freeway speeds. We can say that safely. The traffic conditions have been tolerable, meaning he hasn't been making any kind of crazy turns, weaving in and out, or anything like that. Basically just staying one lane, moderate to high speeds. California Highway Patrol right behind him. I do know that they did switch out, meaning that the Monterey Park the Baldwin Park Division of the California Highway Patrol got out of it, and Altadena has joined the chase right now, and that's when we saw that the vehicles right behind it changing, and a little bit different tactics as well. That officer right there kind of riding that center lane, lights and sirens, kind of giving people up ahead that something is going on and that maybe they should move over. The traffic, pretty light. I can tell you that we're working our way out of the Pasadena area, entering the Eagle Rock area, and we've transitioned onto the 134. Now the next freeway is going to be the 2 freeway. I don't know if he stays in the carpool lane. We would assume that he's going to just keep on down the 134. If that happens, I'm guessing there's going to be some heavy traffic Glendale again, but it doesn't seem to affect this chase at all. And again, California Highway Patrol, they're chasing him now. The vehicle stolen belongs to a law enforcement officer. There is a law enforcement officer's weapon is inside that car. We don't know if the person driving it knows that that's a law enforcement officer's car or there's a weapon in there. Monterey Park, that's where it started. Right now we're in Eagle Rock on the westbound 210 freeway going about 80 miles an hour.
So dangerous when we talk about this weapon, Stu. Obviously, this person's very desperate to get away. This has been going on for at least 30 minutes, and they're just not giving up. They've been all over the freeways this afternoon, and it looks like really picking up speed as well.
Well, let me do some math here with what I have, and I can tell you we're going about 75 miles an hour, basically just tracking that vehicle right now. Don't know if he's using the cruise control. Don't know if he's just kind of driving. You just kind of wonder that this person looking in the rearview mirror. Everybody's seen these chases so many times, and they always end with the driver in custody. Sometimes we think, well, maybe he's just trying to get those last couple of minutes of freedom. But while this thing's going and driving along at these higher speeds, the freeways are a little bit, we've seen them be a little bit safer. But at any rate, whenever there's a chase, it's always that possibility that somebody's going to get hurt, the public, the suspect, the law enforcement. So right now, the law enforcement, they take this stuff very, very serious. There's a lot going on inside that lead car right now. That officer of the law, trained to drive at high speeds, trained to drive in traffic at high speeds, and of course, making calls, keeping an eye on this vehicle. The car now really starting to speed up, really starting to pick up some speed. My pilot Timmy is also just starting to move us, and you can see it right now. And that car, that's a Lexus. I'm not sure what exact model it is, but I can tell you, very zippy little car. And right now, you see what this person is doing. Well, I can tell you right now, Sky 9, we're moving across the ground at about 120 miles an hour. That we might be doing playing a little catch-up right now, but this vehicle really starting to open it up, trying to get that gap between himself and those lead law enforcement, the California Highway Patrol. We do know that there is a helicopter besides us, a law enforcement helicopter above. So they're going to keep it.
All right, little problem with the signal from Sky 9. We'll get it right back for you, we promise. Here we go. And Stu, looks like he could be trying to lose these officers weaving in and out of traffic now.
It's, definitely trying to lose these guys, right? And you can see him making these moves out here, moving very, very quickly, high speeds, zigging in and out. Now, we know that there's at least one law enforcement helicopter above, so they're going to keep an eye on him. That California Highway Patrol, we were just talking about how trained he is about driving at high speeds in traffic, and you can see that officer now catching up with that Lexus. We're doing that transition. Looks like we're going to be staying on the 134, making some high-speed turns out here. It's going to get really packed as we make our way into the Burbank area. That vehicle moving along at a good clip, slowing down actually right now, Sandra. And you can see the law enforcement, California Highway Patrol, really keeping up with him. And we're going to stay a little bit tighter just in case. Look at this, getting boxed in. Really, it's just squeezing through there.
Making his own lanes.
Move for any of those folks down there. Could you just imagine you're driving along and this guy just comes right up and basically squeezes by you at 100 miles an hour? I'd be a little pissed. Anyway, pulling way over to the right, possibly. Nope, never. We're going to keep that just for that driver. If he gets off, we're going to say it. Right now, we're just going to keep an eye on it. California Highway Patrol right there with him. Look at that. And the only thing I can say, the black and white, the guy driving the black and white car, he's trained for this kind of stuff. That driver of that white car stolen, probably not so trained. So we got to keep an eye on it, and hopefully nobody's going to get hurt.
Stu, this has really changed just in the past few moments. He was driving straight, driving just over the speed limit, kind of keeping with the flow of traffic. Now he's weaving all over the place and getting really close to other cars and so fast.
Sandra, and we're watching this car from up here, and I can see that, that's, again, we're talking about what type of vehicle that is. The only reason I keep bringing it up is that's, a lightweight performance vehicle. That's not, that's not your dad's Oldsmobile. And even this high performance vehicle, when he's making these moves out here, he's kind of hitting that wheel hard. That car is basically understeering and oversteering. So we're keeping a really close eye on it. I do not want to see this thing lose traction out here. Very, very high speeds, moving in and out. Definitely called threading the needle, that is for sure. California Highway Patrol, I'm going to get a little bit wider. We're going to keep an eye on it. The traffic going to just get more and more packed. Right behind him, that officer doing a fantastic job, staying safe, keeping an eye on him. Lights and sirens, at least trying to warn the public. Look at that. Did you see that? Oh! Whoa! That even really caught me close there. And that's the problem. The California Highway Patrol, that officer trained. This guy, not trained. And on top of that, he's keeping an eye out, trying to look for that law enforcement officer. Right now, though, pushing his way through as the traffic's getting thicker. We're getting closer to the 170, moving out of the Burbank area. Going to be Toluca Lake here, North Hollywood in a bit. And traffic really getting thick out here. California Highway Patrol making their way right back behind the bad guy.
Oh, he had at least three very close calls there, Stu. Just coming up behind these cars so fast, and these people don't know what's coming at them.
That's the thing. I always think to myself, if I had a loved one down there on the roadway and this lunatic came up behind him or caused a wreck, it would be devastating. And this is what most people, when they're watching it, that's what they're thinking. If you're at home watching, you're probably thinking, oh, you know what, I got a loved one that drives on that freeway, or I know somebody that could be on that freeway right now. And, with this guy driving so quickly, and you saw those really close calls, so, if I was giving this guy any kind of score, his numbers dropping down a lot after we saw that. And then on top of that, those hard turns, we saw that car really starting to sway at a couple points there. So California Highway Patrol right behind him, though, keeping the lights and sirens going. They might be changing out divisions again, meaning it's still California Highway Patrol, but we're getting into the West Valley area. He does have a choice for the 170, and also, it would be a little difficult, but he could also head down to Hollywood. Right now, though, back on the freeway, that California Highway Patrol, he did, we saw it. That guy really opened that car up, was doing a bunch of crazy stuff, but look at that officer right there behind him once again. So whatever gains he has, he's lost right now. Nobody's been hurt. We haven't seen even paint swap with that vehicle this afternoon, so that's a huge plus, but this thing isn't stopped. And it just makes you always worried about who's out there, what could possibly happen, and just the randomness of what's going on out here. We're going to be on the 134, approaching the 170 right now. Might turn it into the 101. We'll take a look, but it does appear he's kind of choosing the 170, so it looks like we're going to be heading northbound on the 170.
All right, 170 northbound. This is near Toluca Lake, the North Hollywood area. And Stu, we see the CHP sometimes will back off and turn it into a following, not necessarily let him go away, but just to reduce the risk on the public, they'll pull back a little bit. Not this guy. They're hanging right with him.
Oh, that's for sure, and he is. He's just basically just right there behind him. We really haven't seen California Highway Patrol do that. We're just going to let it go, or we're going to switch to a tracking mode. Other law enforcement agencies, there's been a lot of policy changes just in the last couple of years, especially dealing with high-speed pursuits. California Highway Patrol, though, they train for this kind of stuff, exactly for this kind of stuff. And you can see that vehicle right now, that the California Highway Patrol officer, you can see this guy probably got a good grade in that class because he's right there behind him. That car, though, at one point probably going about 120 miles an hour as we made our way through the Glendale area. This is a stolen vehicle. Anybody that might be joining right now, stolen vehicle. It's a Lexus. But the more important than all of that is that the vehicle belongs to a law enforcement officer. It was stolen from a law enforcement officer. That law enforcement officer saying there is a weapon inside that vehicle. Now, does the person that stole that car know this? We don't know, but it adds that extra layer of danger to this whole situation. You can see that Lexus really starting to move once again. We're on the 170 northbound, North Hollywood area, coming up on the Victory area and Sherman Way, and you can see him really starting to take advantage of the fact that there's a little bit of open road between them. He's got to have noticed, though, that even though he did get...
All right, we'll get right back to Stu's pictures from Sky 9 over this vehicle pursuit. It is right now on the 170 northbound freeway. Driver in a white stolen Lexus weaving in and out of the carpool lane and just getting so close to those cars. Stu, how fast was he going?
Well, right now we're talking about 104 miles an hour northbound on the 170 freeway, North Hollywood area, just coming up on Sherman Way right now. California Highway Patrol right behind him. This person driving very, very quickly. And, of course, you can see how quickly he's passing all those other vehicles down there. The traffic, it's moderate. That's the best way to say it. Moderate. So other folks down there probably moving about 70, maybe 65, 70 miles an hour. Look how quick he's just zipping by these guys like fence posts, going by each and every one of them. California Highway Patrol, we're staying tight on that car, but you can see they are still, well, maybe they've, there they are. They're right behind him. I was going to say, maybe they did drop out. Right now, though, they are right behind him. They're keeping an eye on it. The lights and sirens, the farther this guy gets away from that one vehicle, look at that. It's going to make it more and more difficult for the folks out there, the general public, to hear that this is coming. You can see this car really moving along out here, weaving in and out. Whoa! and hard on the brakes right there as he basically got boxed in. These folks, they're just driving. They're not trying to block him in. They're not doing anything, but they're just driving, want to get to where they're going, and this guy coming right up behind him at high speeds. Now, lights and sirens, you can see how the California Highway Patrol got into that picture, and you see people start moving off to the right, probably hearing the lights and sirens. Sandra?
Yes, Stu, sometimes we'll see CHP go up ahead and try to move people over to the side, get them out of the way, or even slow down the traffic. But this guy's going so fast, and it's hard to tell where he's going to go. He's got the 5 option coming up as well, the 5 freeway.
Yeah, the 5 freeway, I'm looking ahead, and it looks like it's going to be pretty backed up there. If he stays on the carpool lane, he might have it'll be a little quicker on the transition, but if he gets in general traffic, it's basically backed up almost to a stop on the transition road. Northbound 170, just approaching the 5. If you guys don't know this area, it's going to be the North Hollywood, Sun Valley area. Right now, though, that truck in front of him there, don't think he even has a clue what's going on behind him. He is just driving, just doing his thing, and then you got this guy in a stolen vehicle right there. A law enforcement it belongs to a law enforcement officer, was stolen from a law enforcement officer, and apparently there's a weapon inside. So even the chase part, as tense as it may be, the ending is really where it's going to play out, because there's a gun inside that vehicle. Nobody knows if that person that stole that vehicle knows about that weapon, and if he does, oh my gosh, I just hope he does not have hands on it when this thing comes to an end. California Highway Patrol right behind him. You can see there's that transition, 170 coming to an end. He's going to have to take the 5, and the 5, it's just going to get more and more backed up. If we saw some hair-raising stuff earlier on, if he decides to drive like that once again, it's going to be very nail-biting.
Yeah, the 5 freeway, the carpool lane will veer off to the left here. I think we see him taking that right now. And once he gets up ahead, they've got the merge, and it gets really backed up this time of day. So we'll keep an eye on that. Stu, you mentioned the weapon that's inside, and not just a gun, but they believe that it's loaded. At least that's the information they're getting from the owner of the car.
That's right, and it just adds that extra layer of the unknown and danger to this. Law enforcement, I'm sure that is really what's on their mind right now, is when this thing comes to an end, this person might have a loaded weapon, and that's going to create all kinds of issues. Now, the California Highway Patrol making his way right there, you can actually see him in that Gore Point area, and that might be because he's trying to slow some of that traffic that you were talking about. Now he's moving along again, trying to get away or just find some open spots. I can tell you, Sandra, I'm looking up ahead. There are no open spots. It's going to be very, very tight. The more north we get out here on the 5 freeway, this continuing on, Arleta is going to be the city that we're coming up on, and you can see the traffic out here, and law enforcement, they're going to have that issue when if they bring this to an end. How they're going to bring it to an end, the public, the safety of the public around, it's going to be very, very tense moments.
Oh, and he's just crossing back and forth over that double line of the carpool lane. One of the issues when the drivers get in front of them and you see them hesitating to pull over, nobody wants to break that double line of the carpool lane. We all know that is a huge fine. I mean, we see people do it all the time, but when you've got a CHP in the rear view mirror, I'm sure people are hesitant to cross over that line.
That's interesting, Sandra. The way it was explained to me is that if it is a law enforcement vehicle, that you need to move over. So correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe somebody from our desk can Google it or make a phone call. But I was always under the impression that I understand that the double line right there.
All right, pursuit right now, northbound on the 5 freeway. It's in the Arleta area. We're seeing this car going speeds up to well over 100 miles an hour. Stu Medell's overhead in Sky 9. Stu keeps crossing back and forth, cutting drivers off. It's not just dangerous for him, dangerous for the CHP, for everybody else who's out on the road.
That's right, Sandra. And if one of those guys, when he threads the needle like that, if one of the other drivers panics and sees something and basically just turns the wheel, that could bring this thing to a crashing end so quickly. Let's throw out some numbers right now as basically we're seeing this Lexus really starting to move once again. We're going about 113 miles an hour right now. Northbound 5 freeway approaching the 118, but it doesn't look like he's going to be taking that 118. Looks like we're going to be staying on now that I said it, staying on the 5. But let's get a little bit wider. He is really starting to move over. Nope, he lost his option a while ago. Now, there are some off-ramps up here, but if he doesn't know the area, it really doesn't. It doesn't make any difference. Knows the area, doesn't know the area. If he gets off the freeway out here, it's going to be a total different bag of fish. Right now, though, northbound 5 freeway, just about 100 miles an hour, just breaking those triple digits. California Highway Patrol still right behind him. I don't know if they swapped out. I'm still listening on that same frequency, so it does appear that But the helicopter might be swapping out here. The law enforcement helicopter that's overhead might be swapping out here in a second. But they're not going to leave this alone. They're going to make sure that there's another helicopter here to take its spot before they do that. Northbound 5 freeway, as we're starting to make our way into the area of San Fernando, as we are making our way northbound on the 5. And you can see this chase continues out here. California Highway Patrol chasing that vehicle, stolen from a law enforcement officer, and apparently a loaded weapon inside that car. We don't know if the person that stole it knows that that weapon's there.
Yeah, and that's a new danger. Look at CHP coming up. He's got the pit.
Yep. Yeah, but I was I was told not to say that, but we just saw him do a very light and very perfect pit maneuver right there, basically pushing that car off. Now it's basically facing the wall. You see the California Highway Patrol helicopter. That's what just flew through our shot right there. Now this vehicle coming to a stop, and again, we were talking about there's a good possibility, or we know for a fact there's a loaded weapon inside that car. We don't know if that suspect that stole this car knows it. That's California Highway Patrol. Their dog is here on scene. You can see that canine right there, ready to go into action, but it does appear this thing coming to an end with a light push there, spun the car out, pushed it up against the wall. Hands are out almost immediately. There go the keys.
All right, so the driver, he or she, we're not sure yet because of those dark tinted windows, does appear to be complying. Stu, the first thing they'll tell you is throw those keys out the window because they don't want this person to take off.
That's right. That's exactly what they want. They want to make sure that that vehicle unable to move. And that's also for officer safety. That vehicle, if it starts moving around real quick, there could be some real issues. Right now, though, the keys are out. The window is down. It's coming to an end out here, northbound 5 freeway. I'm just kind of looking out the window. I just want to get where we are. We're not quite at the 405 interchange, so we're in that spot between the 118 and the 405. You can see it's come to a stop. The freeway's come to a stop as well. This might cause some traffic problems later on, but the more important thing right now is that that suspect complies and follows exactly what the officers tell him to do. If just watching right now, stolen vehicle, stolen from a law enforcement officer, and apparently there is a loaded weapon in the car. We don't know if that suspect knows about that.
All right, doors open, hands are up. We'll see how this one ends. Possibly a loaded weapon nearby. CHP taking a defensive mode. They're behind their car doors, and you can see the dog barking. He's out of the suspect is out of the vehicle. They'll ask him next to move away from the car and lay down on the road.
Yes, they're going to want to take him into custody, and you can see it's baggy clothes right there. They're going to make sure that he doesn't have that weapon on him or possibly hidden. You can see them basically giving him directions. Lift up the shirt, take the hoodie. They might even tell him to take it off. Don't even know. Right now, this young man out here that stole this vehicle, being compliant is the best way to say it, following the rules. You can see that dog just wants to go to work for sure. But law enforcement, he's following their rules. They're probably giving him a lot of instructions. He's doing as he's told right now. But that quick lifting up the shirt, hopefully these officers are good with the fact that they believe that he doesn't have the weapon. You can see him down there on the ground right now. This is probably coming to an end. Northbound 5 freeway, just north of the 118, just south of the 405 interchange. But the suspect not cuffed. And we also, we know that there was a driver, of course, but we don't know if anybody else was in that vehicle.
Stu, I'm just amazed by this pit maneuver. They just came up on him so quickly. It really was textbook. Managed to stop that car despite, we know he was going well over 100 miles an hour. We know he was driving erratically in some really thick traffic conditions, and looks like he's going to be in custody very soon. They're clearing the car.
He'll be in custody very, very soon. Just to be clear, when that pit maneuver, he was not going 100 miles an hour. At some points, he was going 100 miles an hour. There's no doubt about that. But when they actually did that pit maneuver, it was at a very safe speed. You saw it. It was almost ballet-like, just that nice little tap. The car didn't spin around completely, but it basically put it in a position where it couldn't go anywhere. It drove towards that wall, not hitting the wall, but basically in a spot where it had to stop, and it gave it an excellent spot for law enforcement, basically to block it in and make sure that it can't go anywhere. Right now, though, the cuffs are going on the suspect. Of course, they always have to open that trunk. Right now, though, they're making those efforts, but you can see this pretty much coming to an end. A very hair-raising pursuit at some points on a number of freeways, but right now we're northbound 5, just north of the 118. That's cuffs are going on. The car has been stopped, and hopefully they're going to be opening up northbound traffic for the 5 shortly.
Yeah, he's been all over the place, starting with the 10 in Monterey Park to the 610 to the 210 to the 134 to the 170 to the 5, and this is where it ends. The 5 freeway in Sylmar near the 405. Stu, this seemed like an especially dangerous one, and just so relieved that it came safely to an end.
That's for sure. And then when you see those, you see that person get out, that suspect getting out of the vehicle, and you realize the age there, it's confusing. That's the only word I can use, is confusing for me to see situations like that. Law enforcement going through that vehicle, probably looking for that weapon. Right now, though, the suspect's in custody, northbound 5 freeway, just past north of the 118. All lanes are closed, but they should reopen shortly.
All right, and of course, we'll continue to follow this and have the very latest on our KCAL 9 News coming up at 4 o'clock. We'll see you then.